Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Hello and welcome to the news on Magic Bricks Now, India's first property channel. I'm Suesha Sawant. Let's take a look at the top headlines at this hour.
Are women better borrowers when compared to men?
We think so. We think so, and our research seems to indicate that is the case.
Women are better borrowers than men, says the chairman of the country's largest lender, State Bank of India's Arundhati Bhattacharya. In today's edition of the news, we focus on women achievers and will get you voices of some big women achievers in Indian real estate. Let's also take a quick look at the other big headlines of the day.
We want India to increasingly become a pensioned and an insured society.
FM clarifies stand on the EPF taxation issue, speaks on his vision of making India a pension society.
हमने एक भी कानून का उल्लंघन नहीं किया है, DDA ने बताया है.
Shri Ravi Shankar says no wrong done, but in the wake of the controversies, President Pranab Mukherjee decides to give the mega cultural event a skip. The Rashtrapati Bhavan blames unavoidable circumstances. Bengaluru is about to get a new TDR policy and it will take effect in 10 other municipal corporations across the state in about a month. The new policy is expected to have big impact on commercial properties. Women's Day choir strikes a chord in Parliament. Members cutting across party lines pitch for passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. Like we promised you earlier, we are focusing on women achievers in today's special edition of the news. Let me first of all wish all our viewers a very happy Women's Day. Real estate, building it, buying it and selling it is considered a man's job. Even today, try buying a house and chances are the developer will ask to meet the men in your life, a father, a brother or a husband. Which is why on Magic Bricks Now today, we decided to break from our regular news programming. Today, we will bring you women who have been rewriting rules. They are out there building homes, planning cities, managing mega infrastructure projects and cutting financial deals to tie these up. Magic Bricks Now brings you the women in real estate. Now, for those who think buying a home is a man's business, not anymore. Women are out in full force to have an abode in their names, bought with their own hard-earned money. But how easy or difficult is it for her to buy a home? Let's find out.
Buying a home is difficult enough, but it becomes doubly difficult if you're a woman home buyer. And the hurdles only increase if you're a single woman looking to buy a home.
First challenge is to actually look for a real estate broker who will be actually respectable of the fact that you're a woman. Now, I came across many who were not very forthcoming. They were not talking business, they were talking fluff, they were looking for the male partner to come and take that final decision. And that was an unnerving experience, because here you are, you're taking so many decisions and people are not ready to listen to you.
If I wanted to buy a home, say in a society which is already existing, there the entry of women as a single woman, as a apartment owner becomes slightly restricted.
However, that has not deterred women home buyers. In fact, as women become financially independent, the number of women buying homes has only gone up. Over the last year, the demand for home loans has increased from 15% to 29%. Of this, 5% of the borrowers were single, independent working women, largely in the age bracket of 39 years. Industry too has taken note of this growing trend.
We would be more than happy to structure something for women to be able to do this investment. In fact, we've set up a team that can actually advise you end to end from what works for you best to how the return will pan out. And I think it will be a great opportunity for women to look at real estate going forward.
Banks and government too are doing their bit. In case you didn't know, as a woman, you get tax concessions to buy a home.
So in many states there are significant stamp duty concessions which makes the property less expensive. Also to some extent the banks have reduced interest rates for women borrowers, because in the past wherever they have had women borrowers, they have had better repayment track records.
Banks like SBI and LIC HFL also give interest waivers for women home buyers, which is usually 0.05% lower than the regular rate of interest. In fact, SBI Har Ghar is targeted specifically towards women borrowers for home loans. So where are women buying their homes? Data shows that most women home buyers hail from Bangalore, Pune and Delhi NCR. However, driven by affordability, women tend to buy homes in the peripheral areas of these cities. So if you're in the market to buy a home, ensure you've done your due diligence. Most importantly, get all your papers checked by a lawyer before you sign the agreement. Go ahead and take the plunge, because every woman deserves her own home. This is Suesha Sawant for Magic Bricks Now.
Women are better borrowers than men, says the chairman of the country's largest lender, State Bank of India's Arundhati Bhattacharya. My colleague Amita Balachandra caught up with one of the most powerful women in India Inc. Let's take a look.
She is one of the most powerful women in the banking sector. She is also the first woman to head a public sector bank. I'm in conversation with the chairman of State Bank of India, Arundhati Bhattacharya. Thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, happy Women's Day to you.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you this. Ever since you took over as a chairperson of this group, SBI has taken a pro-woman stand. Over the last couple of years, have you seen a sharp increase in the number of women borrowers?
Well, yes, and especially in respect of those places where we have women-centric schemes. As you know, in respect of housing loans, we had said that if you are a single borrower, woman borrower, or even a joint borrower with somebody else, if there is a woman involved in that particular loan, we'll give you a 5 basis points less. And in the last 2 years, from only 16% of people where women's names were there in respect of housing loans, today it's 34%. So I think, we made a signal difference, and because we did it, now most of the other banks and other lending institutions have also done it. So, overall the market has sort of given a thumbs up to this, and we definitely are seeing more women borrowing for purchasing of houses.
Okay, now talking about single women and joint home loans, there is this notion that single women are generally singled out, they don't get home loans. That's the notion across, and we've also heard a lot of cases where home loans have been rejected for single women, even joint home loans for that matter. Two sisters, for instance, find it difficult to get home loans too. Do you see that kind of happening across the board? Would you like to?
No, I don't think there is anything. In fact, we encourage women to take loans. Whoever these people are, I would encourage them to come to SBI. They will be given absolutely equal treatment, if not better treatment. The only thing is, if you are trying to take a loan, as you know, in India, it is dependent on your capability of servicing that loan. So whatever is your income, that income must be able to support the EMI. If it is not able to support the EMI, then we cannot give the loan. So as long as that is met, there is absolutely no discrimination. In fact, there is a discrimination in favor of women borrowers.
All right. Are women better borrowers when compared to men?
We think so. We think so, and our research seems to indicate that is the case. For instance, in tractor loans that we were giving earlier, we found huge NPAs. So today we have relaunched the loan, and there we have said that if you bring in your spouse as a co-borrower and also put her ornaments as a margin for that tractor, we are going to give you lower rates of interest. And believe you me, this scheme, we call it Stri Shakti tractor loan. It's doing very, very well.
So you also have a couple of schemes for women. There is this Har Ghar scheme that you've just launched with Tata Housing. If you could just throw more light upon that.
In the Tata Housing scheme, what we have done is we have said that during construction, that interest will be paid by Tata Housing. Okay. So to that extent, the burden of the interest while you are not able to enjoy the property will not be on you. Of course, our processing fees, etc., are also waived, And we are trying to take this scheme to all women borrowers, telling them that these are two good institutions that have come together. So women can invest in this and have the peace of mind that yes, the houses will get delivered in time and will be of a good quality.
Okay, this is only for a limited period of time, or?
At this point of time, we'll see how it does, and then we will see whether we'll extend it further.
Okay. What is that one piece of advice that you would like to give to women out there who want to get up to that level?
The first thing is, don't shortchange yourself. Never think you can't do something. You can. And we have what should I say, a tendency of being self-doubters. You know, we always underplay ourselves. We always feel that I'm not up to it. So don't do that. You are up to it. Never shortchange yourself. Sky is the limit. You can do it. And the second thing is, you know, try and make your own luck. Luck is obviously there, but sometimes you have to sort of put yourself out there in order to try and make it.
That was Amita Balachandra with Arundhati Bhattacharya. Moving on, to all those Mumbaikars who swear by the ease of commute the metro brings, did you know there's a woman in the hot seat, ensuring the metro network keeps growing and connecting India's busiest metropolis? Ashwini Bday is the woman who is changing how Mumbai travels to work. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal caught up with the lady behind the wheel.
Ashwini Bday is a small town girl with big dreams. She started off dreaming of doing something different. Found her calling in the Indian Administrative Services and today is heading Mumbai's metro projects. We caught up with the first Indian woman to head what is arguably one of the country's biggest mass transit programs.
So every successful female has a story to tell. Tell us your story. Tell us, how did you reach the position where you are today?
Somehow from 10th standard onwards, I had an ambition of doing something which is not generally done. So I wanted to take a different path, and that time even though the general practice and convention was to take medical or engineering as your career option, I thought of entering into government service with whatever limited knowledge and exposure I had, but somehow I had that big dream. Then I tried to pursue it, came out of the small town, came in the city of Pune, then tried to look for various options, and then finally I could achieve my dream in the year 1995, and since then I am in the Indian Administrative Service.
Now you are building the metro, a landmark project for a city like Bombay where population is increasing at an unprecedented level. So tell us, what are the things that you as a female bring on the table which others would not be doing, which other male counterparts of yours would not be thinking of, the kind of edge that you are giving this project?
While doing those projects, I realized that even if I didn't have the civil engineering background, but as far as project management is concerned, and whatever engineering changes which were required from the project management point of view, that I could bring to the table. And probably I thought different than what a normal engineer would think while structuring a project, while designing a project, while actually implementing it. And those were the probably fresh thoughts which were required at that juncture while doing a project in a very crowded metropolis like Mumbai. When monorail, we were implementing monorail designs, the choice of colors for monorail, the freshness which we wanted to bring to the city. So those also were my contribution. So although I at that point of time I didn't have a lot of technical knowledge, I did gain it by my very intense interaction with the engineers. But at the same time, I brought in the essence of my experience prior to that to the project, and that is how we could improve the management of the project. I could do better coordination, and that is why the projects which were to begin with were non-starters, and most of them were stuck with various issues. We could slowly resolve all these issues. I could build a team, I could motivate them, and then as a team we actually delivered these projects which were kind of a dream, and people never thought that these projects will actually come to ground.
आप next is another lady who is doing the drudge work so that big infrastructure projects can take off. The Navi Mumbai Airport, the Navi Mumbai Metro. This lady negotiated with the original residents and ensured they got a good deal whilst they made way for our convenience. My colleague Ruchi Deshpande caught up with Radha, Joint MD, CIDCO.
On account of Women's Day, I am joined by the woman who is in charge of the major infrastructure projects in Navi Mumbai, such as the Navi Mumbai International Airport, the Navi Mumbai Metro and the Maharashtra Trans Harbour Link, just to name a few. This is none other than Ms. Radha, who is the Joint MD of CIDCO. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us. So, let me start off by asking you the most the evident question that how did you choose being IAS as a career, and why CIDCO?
Well, to begin with, I began 22 years back in the service. At that time also I thought it was the best career one could have, and even today I believe it. It's perhaps the greatest variety, most fantastic. By 23 you are the boss and you see expands from rural interiors to urban. This kind of sweep of the job, the extent of issues that we deal with are rare to find in any job, and I think it gives you great job satisfaction.
Working in, say, developmental infrastructure is considered to be a man's job. So let me put it to you this way. How does it feel to be one of the women in what is typically considered a man's job in this kind of setup?
Women are as good, if not better sometimes. More because we look at just not the hardware, but the software issues which matter a lot. Whether we are talking about Navi Mumbai International Airport, it's a lot about after 95 it didn't start till now, which is amazing length of time, and it was only because we had to acquire 292 hectares of land, which meant speaking with people and convincing them and asking them to give their land. And I think unless there's a human face to infrastructure, it doesn't happen, and all those who work in infrastructure realize that, yes, but women have to be good at both things, not just talk about the soft side, but talk about bidding, contracting, implementation, engineering, and this, I think women are no less at all actually.
She is one of the most powerful women in the private equity space. She's also delivered some of the highest returns to investors in real estate. My colleague Amita Balachandra caught up with the Executive Vice Chairman of Milestone Capital Advisors, Rubie. She began by asking her about how difficult a journey it has been. Let's take a look.
Were there any challenges that you faced in the beginning when you took over, especially because you weren't from this background?
For the last 20 years, I had been in the corporate world, which of course meant that people management came naturally to me. In my previous life, I was taking care of 7,000 people, and that itself was a huge number of people to manage. But of course, when I took over this business, what was different is that, of course, the difficulty level was different. You were talking to and dealing with the best-in-class PE professionals. Stakeholders were equally, different kinds of people. So yes, it was different. It wasn't difficult.
Let's talk about the biggest exit that happened a couple of years ago in the private equity space. Throw some light on that for us.
Okay, so just to tell you about the exit that we are talking about, we had invested in this asset in July 2010, and that was not the time when people were buying into pre-leased core office assets. And we were probably the first ones to take that leap of faith and to put, huge amounts of money. It was a 775 gross enterprise value deal in 2010, and that was a large deal. So, I think we went and bought this asset when others were fearful. So I think, to me, the biggest part was that to buy into something when others were not able to, and when you are selling, there were so many people who wanted to buy the asset. I think that drove the price. We were able to achieve a 9.5 exit cap rate on the asset and a 20% IRR.
Do you have more such exits planned over the next 1 year?
Yes.
Would you be able to give us some?
Sure. As we speak, the team has done a commendable job, and my partner has just closed a deal in Bangalore, called the Electronic City, which is a standalone, building. Which, we have sold off to Ultra HNI. So that is a deal that we will be, giving the proceeds of those, of that return, of that exit to the investors.
Okay, now talking about the budget itself that happened recently, there's been a lot of push for affordable housing. So are you looking at lending to affordable housing developers?
So we, as I said, we believe in being the front runners in, in all the real estate sub-asset classes that we can talk about. And we've done 4 affordable housing projects in the past. One of the projects was in Ambivali in Kalyan, where we are exiting at a 20% IRR. We've done a project in NCR, which was again another affordable housing project. So we've done 4 affordable housing projects on the back of that, plus the incentives that the government has given to both the developer and the investor community. We will be lending increasingly, for affordable housing as well.
We started today's show talking about women home buyers, and now we get you a woman builder, one of the few who's made a name for herself and her company in a man's world. Disha Shah caught up with Manju Yagnik, vice chairperson of the Nahar Group, who has carved a niche for herself in the super competitive Mumbai property market.
What actually motivated you to choose this profession?
When I was a child, I was, in my college also, was always thinking that one day I'll also be part of this system. And I really feel very happy. You are seeing the whole transformation in front of your eyes, and how it is taking shape. And it is very adventurous as well.
Any 1 or 2 challenges or hurdles that you could want to share?
There are 2 things. A, being women. Another thing is with generally when you are in the whole system. So I would say that being women, it's only dealing with authorities at that point of time. Definitely now situation is changed. That point of time, dealing with authorities as well as your stakeholders, when you were they always used to think being a lady, probably she'll be up to the commitments and she'll be able to deliver, or the stakeholders want to invest their money onto under a woman leadership complete forum. It was a challenge for them as well, because in our country that point of time such serious businesses were not taken over by women, but at this point of time I think situation is changed.
So do you feel that there is certain sort of glass ceiling in the real estate sector? Do you feel that that's the situation then and now?
Glass ceiling is actually in perception, in people's mind. Practically now it's not. Earlier it was there because the system was not very open and it was not that transparent. But now yes, there's so many things which are handling mass labors, handling, all the planning stages to property acquisitions. When earlier you used to go for property acquisitions, it was very difficult when people deal with you. If the developers, their generation, other next generation women, they are putting in this business. And if they are, educating them in the same field and giving them equal opportunities and that, that financial capabilities also to deal with things, I think situations will be completely different.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitly rolled back the proposed tax on withdrawal of Employee Provident Fund. In an exclusive chat with ET Now's Supriya Srinath, the FM said the government wants to create a pensioned and insured society. He added that the proposal would have affected only a minuscule section of the salaried class. Let's listen in.
We want India to increasingly become a pensioned and an insured society. True. So we are now trying to nudge people that whatever your savings are must be in the nature of social security. True. During your working life, please invest. When you retire, you get tax exemption on your investments.
True.
You get a sizable part of your deposits back, and some is converted into an annuity or a pension, which is also tax-free.
Right.
So this was to actually persuade them. I firmly believe pension is better. Now I have therefore tailored the NPS, which is a much bigger scheme, in which there was no exemption on withdrawal. I have given them an incentive, 40% exemption on withdrawal, And if the rest is pension, again a tax exemption.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News on Magic Breaks Now. Thank you so much for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Bricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.